You know, at times I question the wisdom behind doing these weekly, but then I realize this is going on the internet, so I don't really need to be wise. So last week was awful. It was very hot, it was very humid, but I managed to live through that. I like it when it's not too hot outside that you can't breathe, you know? You know what I mean by that? It's kind of like, you just want something that is right in the middle. And thanks to everyone who watched my vlog last week. If only those people who watched it had converted into subscribers as well. But oh well, I've increased from 30 subscribers to 34 subscribers. I probably should be doing a 30 subscriber special. I was telling my friends that I would do one, and I ended up not doing one. But, you know, it is what it is. From how much I'm rambling, you might rightfully guess that I don't have a lot to say today. That's fine. You know how I promised that I would have something planned out for every week? Well, maybe I don't need to do that. Maybe sometimes we need a heart-to-heart. But yeah, how are you doing? How's life? How are the kids? Do you have kids? I don't have kids. I'm too young to have kids. Ooh, this one is a bullshit episode, isn't it? And we like that. We like the bullshit episodes. Sometimes I need it. This week, let's talk about things that I am very excited about. The number one on the list of things that get me very excited is my big trip to Japan, actually. I'm going to be traveling to Japan. I've been there before, but this time I'll be there as someone who knows what the place looks like. And also, hopefully, my Japanese skills have improved as well. Part of the reason why I really want to go there is so that I can actually talk in the language with people who are native speakers of the language and actually be understood by them and then understand them in return, which I believe is called a conversation. Ever since I was a kid, people told me that I was very good at learning languages, so I ended up being decent in learning languages. I can speak a bunch of languages. I can speak English, I can speak Turkish. I did a minor in Russian, so I should be able to speak Russian, but I can speak French, and I can speak some Japanese. I'm a beginner in the Japanese language. I've been taking classes for the past 6 months, I guess? Yeah, I've been taking weekend classes, so not a lot of classes, and a lot of it requires self-teaching. And when you have only 3 hours per week to practice speaking a language, it's difficult to get better at. Compared to all the other languages that are not Turkish that I'm speaking, Japanese is actually weirdly the one that's closest to Turkish in a way that I cannot explain to anyone other than those who actually speak both languages. So this is weird, and I want you to bear with me. We're getting into some conspiracy theories, so we're gonna go to the whiteboard. Okay, so I never thought we'd be back here, but here we are at the whiteboard. It's empty, it's ready for my usage. Here's a theory. Japanese is very similar to Turkish. So you don't believe me, which is perfectly fair. But first, you have to remember both Japanese and Turkish are essentially Asian languages, and Turks originate from Central Asia, meaning that they had interactions with a lot of East Asian nations. So both of these languages follow the subject-object-verb rule, as opposed to English, for instance, which is a subject-verb-object kind of language. So this alone is not enough to prove my theory that these languages are very similar to one another. So let's talk about other things. So the second thing that makes me think that these two languages are very similar to each other is how they treat their verbs. Both Turkish and Japanese conjugate their verbs by adding suffixes at the end. In Japanese, you can just use a dictionary form like this to say that I am eating, but you can also say something like, which is the polite form of saying that I am eating. And in Turkish, you would say something like, in hindsight, I'm realizing that this is a horrible example for Turkish because the E changes to make sense for the whole thing. But the point is, you add these suffixes to conjugate the verbs. I am not a linguist, by the way, okay? This is just me doing pseudoscience, but with words. The third similarity that I find is the cases. For instance, if you wanted to say, I am going home, in Japanese, you would say, which technically means I go home. So this e is indicating that I am going towards home. In Turkish, you would say, here ev is the noun meaning home. In Japanese, it is ie. And in Turkish, it is also e that indicates that I am going home. As you can see, these two are the same letters. That's probably a coincidence. There are a bunch of particles in Japanese that are almost the exact same as the suffixes we use to decline nouns in Turkish. That makes me feel more comfortable than someone who only speaks English, for instance, in understanding how the Japanese language works. And lastly, for the purposes of this particular video, there are some words that are eerily very similar. One of them is the Japanese word "e," which means good. And the other one is the Turkish word "i," which means good. The other one that might be more interesting to know is the Japanese word yaki, stuff like yakisoba or yakiniku. In those contexts means to grill something. In Turkish, the word yak is the root for the verb yakmak, which means to burn. These are some nitpicky examples that I have, but these somehow make me feel like these languages are very similar. There is a now discredited theory in linguistics about how Korean, Japanese, and Turkish came from this proto-language called the Ertekin language. Am I a linguist? No. Does thinking that these languages might come from the same family make it easier for me to learn Japanese? Yes. Point is, believe in the things that you want to believe, disregard science, everything is false, only what you think and have in your head is true. So what's the point of all this? Well, there is none, because this is a vlog, and I'm talking about myself. That's the point. It's a very narcissistic exercise. I'm assuming that people care about what I have to say. If I lose this confidence, then everything falls apart. But yeah, are you interested in languages? What kind of languages do you speak? And would you watch a vlog of me speaking in a different language than English? I kind of want to do one in Turkish at some point and put subtitles under it. But until then, please like this video and subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends, leave a comment. Anyways, I'll see you later. Bye.